submarine to the real. We talking that truth. Laughs get loud when the crew cut loose.
It's a cookout.
Where the takes stay hot and the game stay wild.
The cookout.
Wrestling talk with that family style.
The cookout. 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 Cookout.
Come for the wrestling, stay for the chaos.
Workhorse Wrestling Network. Let's go.
With ALWCM, Sammy and Anika. Hot topics cooking, no chaser, no filter. Fire games popping, debates get reckless. If you ready for the madness, then pull up a seat.
Workhorse Wrestling Network. This is the
Hello, and welcome to the show. This is Workhorse Wrestling Network, and you are gathered with us tonight for the Cookout Podcast, where we talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. But tonight, we will not be talking about wrestling.
We will not be talking about wrestling. As usual, when it's just the two of us, we like to do stuff that's a little different than the normal stuff. So before the draft, we did an NFL kind of, preview of the draft. We talked a little bit about how we thought, I guess, let's say, we didn't necessarily do like a hardcore mock draft, but we kind of mocked up a little bit what we thought the draft might look like, who we hoped our teams would get, and where we thought some college players might go in the draft. So now that we are on the heels of the NFL draft, we are back.
I feel like we did a pretty fair job.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't remember. I didn't go back and listen to that show to see like exactly where we talked about people, but I know that my team got at least the first guy that I really wanted and that they really wanted and coveted. I know that your team drafted a little bit different than I think you thought they may have, but we'll see if you've come around. So we'll get there in a little bit. But what we're going to do is kind of review the draft since we're on the heels of it now, as we lead into, as Sammy said, getting we're at the 90-man roster point now and working our way down to 53 in August probably, or late July, early August is the. So before we get to that, and before we know who's kind of established on teams, or at least going to be on the roster for teams long term, we're just going to kind of review the draft and see. I believe Sammy Joe said that he pulled up ESPN's grades,
NFL.com.
NFL.com's grades for each team in the draft, and I'll let you lead it, and we'll just kind of talk about what they said, and we'll kind of critique what NFL.com says, and give our own insight. Or not insight, but opinions. I have no insight. I know nothing. I just watch football, and I'm a schmuck that likes to hear his own voice. So that's why I'm here talking to you about something I really know nothing about. But I do watch a lot of football, and I do pay some attention. So I'll give you my bad opinions.
Well, unfortunately, NFL.com seems to have theirs in order of who they think did the best. So okay. I think it might be more fun to just go by division if you want to name a division, and we'll go and look them up.
So let's see. You want to start with the AFC or the NFC? Let's start with the AFC. How about the Patriots?
AFC? Okay.
Who won the AFC East last year at 14-3? We obviously know about the Mike Vrabel stuff going on. And we'll see how that ends up affecting the Patriots. But how does NFL.com rank their draft for 2026? What grade did they give them?
Well, there's 32 teams, so give me a moment to scroll through.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they're solid. They were solid last year. They'll be solid again this year, I think. Drake May is a good quarterback. We'll see. We'll see how much. Well, we'll see, I guess.
All right.
I don't know if this thing with Vrabel could turn into him not coaching at all, but it's definitely going to be some sort of a distraction. So
they took Caleb Lomu, Gabe Yakis, Eli Raridan, Karen Prunty, Demetrius Crownover, Nnamdi Obiazor, Bayron Morton, Jam Miller, and Quintavious Hutchins.
All right, so you got to give positions too, because I don't even know a lot of those names. if they're on there.
Uh,
I don't know if they're given
yeah.
the positions, but um, uh,
Um,
Lomu's
I
an
was
offensive
pretty
lineman,
down
is
on
that
this
correct?
draft
How
here.
do you, yeah,
Caleb Lomu, first round talent. They got him
right.
at 28. Like that's fair value. My only caveat to that is I was not expecting them to go for a tackle. So I was mildly confused about that. So it's like, are they moving their current left tackle into guard? Or are they, I mean, did they draft him to trade their tackle to the Eagles to get AJ Brown? Like, I don't really know what's the plan here, but I was not expecting that move from him. Uh, as for Gabe Yakis, I felt like he was early. Well, not I shouldn't say early. Mid second round pick, and they got him late second round. I think. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They got him pretty late in the second. So like, I felt like that was actually a little bit of a steal for them. However, every other pick that they made, like, not really high on any of these people. Like looking at
I
this
mean,
list, like, ugh.
uh, yeah. To be honest with you, and in full disclosure, I don't know a ton about a lot of the guys that they got later in the draft. Um, but I know at 14-3, you're a solid team and a solid unit. So a lot of times teams like that, are drafting less for need than they are for the best player on the board and or for depth. I mean, just because just
These were
because
not the best
Lomu
player on the board.
well, no, but I'm saying like for Lomu. So even though you don't necessarily need that position, if he might be
Hmm.
better than the guy that's already there potentially, or can at least get the guy that's there, can compete or make him play better, all those things, right? Then you're always searching for something that's potentially better. And you don't, I mean, it's so, and at worst, you have, Lomu backing up somebody who's, I mean, you can't argue with that, right? So, I mean, again, yeah, they have some positions of need, as does all teams. But again, much like, and we'll get there, but much kind of like the Rams taking Ty Simpson in the first round. When you're a successful team that doesn't have a ton of needs, you can do some of that stuff. Now, and you can debate whether Ty Simpson was the best pick at that point when the Rams took him, let alone at the quarterback position or whatever 15 it was whenever they took him or whatever. So, I mean, in some respects I see those kind of things similar to some of what the Patriots did. As far as offensive line, I can never argue with trying to beef up your offensive line, even if you already have a good one. Like you can never have too many good offensive linemen, in my opinion. The game is won and lost in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and the more offensive linemen you have, so that when a guy gets injured, the next guy steps up as a solid player, more power to you, right? And if you want to be a good team, you're going to need those guys. So, and Lomu will get some time on the field one way or the other. And, he's a solid offensive lineman. So can't go wrong, in my
I
opinion.
mean,
But yes, I
the
understand what you're
only
saying, though.
thing is their left tackle they drafted last year at number 4 overall. So it's like you're not gonna move out the guy you drafted 4 overall for the guy you drafted 28th overall. I mean,
This is true. No, I mean, this is true. I mean, maybe you move him down the line somewhere else. I mean, maybe you think that he can play another position, left tackle or a guard position. Maybe you move the left tackle from last year in. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not them, but let's say, listen, 14-3 buys you some credit, right? And some clout. And Mike Vrabel, people love off the field stuff aside, the off the field stuff aside. People love Mike Vrabel. They think he is a solid football mind. He's known more about football than I'll ever forget, or he's forgotten more than I'll ever know, is what I meant to say. So, I mean, I to a certain extent, I defer and kind of trust him. If he thinks that this is the right pick and that, they can get use out of two first round offensive linemen roughly at the same position back to back years, there's got to be a reasoning for that. There's got to be some sort of thought process behind that. Someone can play another position, someone can move. I mean, there has to be some sort of thought process behind that.
Grade for their draft, NFL gave them a C plus. I can give them like a D plus.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't necessarily, and this is part of the problem with just being kind of a guy that watches football and doesn't, I don't know enough about the guys later in the round. I know that Lomu's a solid offensive lineman. I feel like I was saying, offensive linemen that are solid are a commodity, and to get him late in the first round, even though you may have had him as a second round grade or even a third round grade, depending on how you had him marked or just how you saw the draft going, getting a solid offensive lineman at any point in time is always has value to me. So again, just kind of going off of that. Again, there's a lot of other stuff, but yeah, I mean that's probably solid. If you're giving them a D plus and they're giving them a C plus, it's probably not that great a draft for the Patriots. Again, you were 14-3 last year. I'm not sure that you're hanging your hat too much on the 2026 draft. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Uh,
Um,
their first pick
who
was
else?
fair, and their second pick was a slight steal. But yeah, the rest of the draft, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
honestly, my cat could have probably drafted better, just hitting buttons randomly on a keyboard.
Uh, what about the Buffalo Bills?
All right, the Bills. So they got Davison Igbonison. I might be saying that name wrong. Igbinosun. Igbinosun.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know
not
how to
sure.
say his name, but he's a great player. Jude Barry, Skylar Bell, Caleb Alarms Orr, Jalen Kilgore, Zane Durant, Toriano Pride Jr., Tommy Doman Jr., and Armaj Reed Adams. The only person that they drafted that I'm not familiar with is Tommy Doman Jr. He's the punter from Florida. I,
All right.
I'm sorry, like the Gators are cool and all, but like I had no idea who their punter was.
So tell us a little bit about some of these guys. I'm a little familiar with TJ
Um,
Parker, but
so TJ Parker had a down year last year, but for the Senior Bowl and for the combine and everything, like dude was lighting it up. They got him early in the second round. Honestly, I could have seen him go somewhere in the 20s. Like if the Bears drafted him at 25, that seems like a fair pick there for to me. And they got him at 35 instead of 25, so solid. Uh, Igbinosun, so he's the cornerback from Ohio State, and Ohio State's a team we're going to bring up a lot when talking about this draft because they were a super team, and now those players are all in the NFL.
yeah, I mean,
Jude
Ohio State
Barry.
regularly produces a ton of NFL talent, right? I mean, they're that's
Mhm.
one of those NFL feeder teams for sure. Is Ohio State? They're you go to
Abs-
Ohio State, you play well, you're going to the NFL in some capacity.
uh, Next up, Jude Barry. This feels a bit of a reach. He's the offensive tackle for Boston College, but also you're in the fourth round. There's not a long list of offensive tackles still available, and they saw something in him that they liked. So, and I hate on the thing of you didn't take it early, so you kind of get what you get here.
Yeah, I mean, again. Oh, go ahead.
Wide receiver, UConn.
Oh, go ahead.
For UConn. A lot of people
Uh-huh.
are really hot for this dude. Like they're hyped up for him. And I mean, UConn's a smaller school, but he was one of the best people on the field during those.
Yeah. I mean, I find it interesting that a team that doesn't have a team that, to a certain extent, has felt a little bit like um, I don't want to say that they've wasted Josh Allen. They haven't wasted him, but by not giving him enough offensive weapons and to then wait and not pick a player to go defense on with your first 2 picks in the draft that you have. It just like, I mean, if I'm Josh Allen, I'm just kind of like, I mean, yeah, I get it. I mean, defense wins championships, I guess. I mean, I think that's more common for basketball, but it can be said for both games for sure. Um, you gotta, but still, it's like if I'm Josh, like, can you get me a weapon? You know what I mean? And again, I mean, a wide receiver. Sometimes you strike gold later and I don't know a lot about that wide receiver, so maybe you can tell us a little bit more about him. But it seems like for a team that has a top 3 to top 5 quarterback, you got to get him some real weapons, and he suffered from what I would say is not having any real weapons during his
Uh,
career in a lot of respects. I mean,
a similar thing can be said about my team. I mean, like
yeah,
as soon as Tyreek Hill left, the only weapon that the Chiefs had was Travis Kelsey.
sure, yeah,
Like we got
absolutely,
other dudes on the field, but like our leading receiver is a tight end, which
right,
is very, very rare nowadays in the league for your number one receiver to be your tight end.
sure,
Like the only other
yeah,
team I think that is like that is the Raiders. But like I don't think that was intentional for the Raiders.
right. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at right now. It looks like the receivers out. I mean, the receivers are going to be DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir, and Keon Coleman. Like DJ Moore is a solid
Mhm.
wide receiver. He's
Oh,
definitely
Keon Coleman,
he's
that's the wide receiver for the Bills.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Those are the 3 guys that are basically going to be doing the bulk of catching the balls, right?
Oh,
For the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For the Buffalo
yeah.
Bills. That's what I was saying. Sorry. Um, so DJ Moore is solid. Is DJ Moore a one? One, yes, probably. He's definitely a very high 2. He plays like a 1 sometimes. I don't know that he plays like a 1 all the time.
I
Um,
honestly forgot that they traded for him. I mean,
and then and
I
Shakir's
feel
solid,
like
but
uh,
Shakir's not
was
carrying
he
them.
the best receiver for the Bears? Because
I mean, I like what's his name, the Ohio State kid. Oh no, yeah, yeah. Right? No, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, he played for Buffalo for the Buccaneers. I'm sorry. Um,
oh, you're talking to Mecca Egbuka?
yeah, 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 yeah. Sorry, I got the
Yeah,
teams
he plays
confused.
for the
Yeah,
Bucks.
but
Other B
yeah,
team.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Roma Dunze. They got Roma Dunze over there in Chicago, who's a
Yeah,
solid, um, pass catcher. I mean,
they have Luther Burden, who I'm a
exactly.
Mizzou fan, so I'm familiar with that dude. Like, I feel like he was underrated, and like people will try to find issues about him, but like oh he has an attitude, and it's like he's a wide receiver and he's a damn good one. Like yeah, they have an attitude. Like
Yeah, wide receivers. There's been a lot of diva wide receivers, for lack of a better term, no doubt. So yeah, I mean, so they got DJ Moore there with Josh Allen, which is nice. But Shakir, Khalil Shakir is okay, and then Keon Coleman. So I mean, none of those Shakir and Coleman aren't doing. They're not instilling fear in defenses. So you can double up DJ Moore and hope for the best. Let Shakir and Coleman do what you want, right? So I mean, they need another offensive weapon. So I'm a little surprised they didn't do that. But there is still some more time, I guess, to do something potentially between now and the start of the season. And you never know who comes out of nowhere and potentially can give you something, right? So, and
mhm,
you hope that Shakir and Coleman step up and be better. I mean, that's why they're there. That's why you hope that they perform better than they have in the past, or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, Buffalo is going to be solid again. I have no doubt that it's going to be Buffalo or the Patriots winning this division again. I don't. The Jets,
mhm.
they'll be a little
No,
bit better. But the Dolphins, I have no idea what the fuck. We'll get to them in a minute here. I have no idea what the Dolphins are.
Dolphins are taking for the number one pick.
They've got to be, but for who though? Like, I mean, that's the question. The question is like,
A quarterback, and probably. I mean,
who Arch
unless
Manning?
Malik
Who's
Willis
sitting
has
out
a
there
great
here that
year.
but who's worth tanking for at this point that you see is out there that's even worth like, oh, I want that first pick. I gotta have him. Maybe Arch Manning, I guess, but he hasn't even shown me that he's worth that, and we don't even know what that looks like yet. I mean, I haven't seen anybody else out there that I'm like, oh yeah, well, I could see why they're taking. I mean, now the problem with that is that again, when you're a bad team, it doesn't matter if you get a number one, if you get a first round quarterback or a star quarterback because you have no one to throw the ball to, you got no one to protect him, you got no one to run the ball, you know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, they've got Devin Achan still, but it's like, fuck, man. But it's definitely a two-team division over there, and in the AFC East. So for sure, I mean,
Mhm.
we could talk about the Dolphins next because they're next on the list here because they
Okay.
finished third in that division last year. So,
NFL.com gave the Bills a C,
oh yeah, so
but I disagree. I give them a B. I think that was a pretty solid draft.
yeah, again, I'm gonna let you grade the drafts, and I'll just kind of comment because I don't really know enough about a lot of the players that came later. So my commentary would be more on whatchamacallit, the guy that they took first, the end,
Mhm.
whose name I'm drawing a blank on at the moment. But yeah, who was for where they got him. I feel like he was solid value there. I mean, he's a good football player, and you don't again. You were 12-5 last year. You're a solid team. Buffalo is a solid team. They don't have a lot of holes per se, so you can draft a little bit for talent, and they got a solid edge. So I mean, in that regard, I think their first round or their first pick was a solid first pick. I mean, so Dolphins.
So next we'll talk about the Dolphins, and I feel like this draft is a bit all over the place, but here goes nothing. They took Caden Proctor, Chris Johnson, Jacob Rodriguez, Caleb Douglas, Will Kazamarak, Chris Bell, Trey Moore, Kyle Lewis, Michael Taffy, I think is how you say his last name, Kevin Coleman,
Yeah, yeah.
Sadu Traore, and Max Llewellyn. Like, these picks, a lot of these fair. Some of these Caleb was 5, Will has 87. Like, I mean, I understand state, but tight end 1, and tight end 1 didn't go that much higher than Will Kazamarak did.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't, again, beyond some of these, there's a few players in this draft that they drafted that I do know the names from. I'm familiar with Caden Proctor. He's a solid offensive lineman. And again, we've talked about, being able to not go wrong to a certain extent. Offensive linemen are always a commodity, especially good ones. I think he's going to be good. I think the value on Jacob Rodriguez in the third round is insane. Like the fact that he fell to the third round that
Second,
shows and that they second
second.
round, but still, I thought he was going to go higher than he did, even in the second round. I thought he was going to go higher than he did.
Some
So
people were talking
drafting
about him late first.
yeah, so getting him where they got him, I think shows that at least they have a decent team in that draft room at the moment because they saw that and they took him when they should have. And Chris Johnson's a solid cornerback. I just don't understand what they're really doing. I mean, like you said, I guess they're tanking. I mean, I like to not believe that any team is tanking, especially when there isn't someone out there that you feels like a generational player worth tanking for. Maybe the Dolphins see Arch Manning as that guy. I don't know, but other than him, I can't think of a guy out there that I can think of that's playing football this year that I'm like, oh yeah, he's a generational guy. Um, so
So this draft is all over the place, but they pick up really solid pieces. Like Chris Bell, wide receiver from Louisville. A lot of people super high on that dude. I can't remember if he's the dude who got injured or not, but like if he is, this is a situation of like Dolphins aren't planning to, make it to the Super Bowl this year. So if they drafted a player who's not playing his rookie season, it's not the end of the world because they're probably not planning on doing much this year anyways.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it'll
Like
be very
rather
interesting
get
to
a
see what
wide
they
receiver
did.
that'll be good next year.
Yeah. No, I mean, my wife is a Dolphins fan, so there's a lot of I pay attention to them, and I'm not. I mean, I think obviously they thought they had their franchise quarterback in Tua. That obviously didn't work out the way they were hoping for a number of reasons. One, I'm not sure that he ever played up to the expectations that they had for him. Two, the concussion factor obviously is a huge deal, right? And just kind of, I don't want to say that he is injury prone, but he definitely suffered a few injuries over his time with the Dolphins, and so moving on from him is a big deal. I mean, if I'm them, I'm hesitant to jump right back in to the first round next year, especially tank to get a quarterback. Like especially with what happened with Tua. But again, if you feel like somebody's out there that is that guy, I mean, I don't know who that would be, but then I guess it's whatever. But I'd like to believe that the Dolphins have some faith in Malik Willis and belief that maybe he could do something. They haven't given him much to work with. They took away basically all of his
They're
weapons. Hill is gone, Waddle's gone. I mean, they don't
they
have
seem to
any
be
secondary.
open to him surprising them, but like he could earn that starter job. But I think they're fully expecting him to not be able to do it, and they'll just draft a quarterback next year. But if he works out, that's one less worry for him.
I'm not sure I like that model of thought process, but again, I'm not an NFL executive, so it's not up to me. I know I like the Jacob Rodriguez pick, and I like
Mhm.
Caden Proctor. Like I said, offensive linemen are always a commodity, especially good ones, and Caden Proctor will be a good NFL offensive lineman. Now, if you want to try to push Malik Willis
I
after
wasn't hot on Caden Proctor at 12. Now,
yeah,
like late first, absolutely. Like if the Texans had drafted him in the late first, I'd been like, yeah, solid pick. At 12?
yeah,
That's I would have rather just taken Vega. I'd much rather have Vega.
yeah.
I mean, they could have just done the smart thing and draft Caleb Downs at 11. I'm surprised Caleb Downs didn't get drafted at 10. Part of me thought that the Chiefs were going to draft Caleb Downs at 9.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. No, I mean, so what NFL.com give the Dolphins draft?
Well, before we go into that, I also want to point out that at pick 130, the Dolphins drafted Trey Moore, linebacker from Texas. And I was like, why in the world are they drafting him? Like, Kyle Lewis is still on the board and he's fallen this far. And then 8 picks later, they draft Kyle Lewis, linebacker Pittsburgh. And it's like, they took two, that's the third linebacker they've drafted now. But yeah, they finally took the dude off the board after falling all that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, some funny things happen in the draft. I mean, that's obviously why they do it, right? Because different teams have different values on players than others, and you have different philosophies and all those things. It's why it's fun to analyze the way these work out. Because this draft definitely did. I mean, obviously, as a Cowboys fan, Caleb Downs falling to us was perfect. That's not how I saw it going. So I think this draft went very different than a lot of people thought it was going. I mean, beyond the Fernando Mendoza pick. I mean, most people I don't think saw Jeremiah Love going 3 to the Cardinals, right? So, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Cardinals. But um, we want to talk about the grade for the Dolphins.
So Uh, NFL gave them an ace, and I can't give him an A minus. I could give him a B. I could give him a B. Maybe even a B plus, but any higher than that. I'm sorry, but no.
Well, it'll be
If they
interesting to
had
see what
taken
that.
Vega at 12, if they had taken
Right.
Vega at 12, absolute B plus, like solid
Yeah.
B plus. But Caden Proctor, they're on the cusp there. They're somewhere between a B and a B plus for me.
Which, I mean, so far, I think is the highest grade that we've given to a team so far. So, I mean, you can't necessarily argue with that, especially when you're the Dolphins and you've made the weird offensive or the weird offseason moves that you made, right? So it'll be
Mm-hmm.
very interesting to see what that team looks like this year. I feel bad for my wife because I think they're going to be bad, but they have some interesting pieces, and it'll be interesting to see how they play out. So,
I mean, these aren't
uh,
guys that I think will just explode out of the gates and be great year one. But these are a lot of talents I could see in 2 or 3 years developing into somebody really special. Like they got a lot of developmental people here that like they're gonna get time playing on the field, and you know they're playing the lottery, and it could be a jackpot. It could be. We don't know yet.
sure. Let's see. How about the Jets, who finished last in that division, but this year
Jets, 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 Jets,
I mean,
Jets. All
this is
right.
one I can't talk about. I mean, with 3 first-round picks and 1 second-round pick of all 4 that I do know a little bit about. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everyone says that the Jets killed it. The Jets got it right. I mean, it's hard to argue. I know that people have their reservations about David Bailey, but he was considered one of the top defensive players in the draft, and the Jets did get him. I thought they maximized all 3 of their first round picks. I mean, I guess you could talk about maybe Kenyon Sadiq being a little high, maybe at 16 or whatever it was, 50, 18, wherever they picked him up. Let's see, what was that? 16. But I mean, the dude's a solid, I mean, a solid player. He's going to be a very good tight end slash big slot receiver. I'm not even sure exactly what he's going to do on the field for sure, 100%, but he's going to catch the football. Let's put it that way. And they're going to like him. So he can catch the football, which is a big deal. And honestly, my favorite pick for them was in the second round, D'Angelo Pons, who I can't believe fell to 50. Like, dude, like I was very surprised that he fell to 50. So I thought they stole him there. I thought the Jets killed this draft.
All right. So let's go through their picks. So pick one, David Bailey. David Bailey is really fast, very explosive, super quick. The only thing is that if an O lineman touches him, he's done. The play is over. He is not going to accomplish anything. If he's able to get around the offensive tackle before the offensive tackle can touch him, yeah, he's sacking the quarterback. If an offensive tackle is good, he's not getting close. And, well, typically offensive tackles in the NFL are better than what he's faced in college. So we shall see. We shall see. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little higher on him than I think you are. I mean, yes, the competition level is going to be higher. The offensive linemen that are on the field in the NFL are better than a lot of the offensive linemen that he faced probably in college. No doubt about it. But Texas Tech is a solid school. It's not like they play just a bunch of nobodies either. I mean, yes, they probably play a couple direct, but they play
I
they
mean,
play
did you
they
look at
play a
their
decent
schedule this
schedule.
year? They really did play a bunch of nobodies this year.
I'm not as concerned about him. I don't think from a physical standpoint like that. I think he's going to be a solid NFL player. Now, is he going to be Lawrence Taylor? Of course not. Is he going to be Max Crosby? Probably not. But you don't necessarily. I mean, those are generational type guys, right? I mean, the even though he has problems staying healthy, the
Well,
Nick Bosas of the world, like, I mean, those guys are not. And I know you're picking him very high, so you're expecting him to be that. I don't know that he's that, but I think he'll be a
yeah,
solid NFL player. I think he'll be a very solid NFL player. Is what was it, 6, 4, 3? When did they pick him? 2? I forget which one it was, but
two.
whatever that pick was, pick number 2. 2 is probably, I mean, maybe that's a hair high if depending on where you rank some guys, but he was definitely going in the top 10 no matter what. I mean, and the Jets need players, and this is where your pick was at. I don't. Who else could you have taken? I guess. I mean, I mean, I don't know. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of people that were predicted to be a better pick here. I mean, the other guys that were talked about were Reese and Downs and who else? I mean, maybe an offensive lineman, Malgoa. I mean, who else are you looking at it too? I mean, everyone's railing against the Cardinals for taking Jeremiah 11-3, and I know that that's because they don't really have anything else. And we saw how much that didn't benefit the Raiders was Ashton Genty last year. But at the same time, like, who else are you supposed to take if you're the Jets, right? I mean, they got the guy that a lot of people mocked at being number 2 in the draft. So, I mean, and then they got some good offensive pieces. So it'll be interesting to see. Sadiq and Cooper will definitely help the offense. And Pons, I think, is a steal in some respects. Not the steal of the draft, but a steal for them for sure. Oh, did you freeze? Sammy may have froze on me. Let's see. Maybe he'll disappear and come back in a minute. I need him back because he is our analyst because he pays more attention to a lot of the guys than I do. So, oh yeah, he definitely is gone. And maybe I froze. Hold on. Let's see what is going on here. Okay. Now, how about this removed completely? Let's see. He should be back. He should be back shortly. So yeah, I mean, let's see. I don't have what Sammy was looking at from NFL.com, but I believe that the consensus around the league and the NFL world was that the Jets basically, A minus, somewhere B plus, very high grade for the Jets. So let's see. Again, I need Sammy back because I don't personally know enough about all of these draft picks that were made for all of these teams. But the Steelers would be, if we're just going division, the next division would be AFC North on my list of divisions here. And that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And let's see, offensive tackle at 21. I do know a little bit about Max Ehanacher or whatever his last name is. Hard to pronounce. I watched a little bit of Arizona State as a fan, kind of old former big Pac-12 football. Um, I do know a little bit about him. I watched him play. Solid offensive lineman. Sammy would probably have some issues with him being taken at 21 potentially, when there may have been other people. Oh, maybe he's not quite ready. Let's give him another second. There may have been other offensive linemen that he felt might have been a little bit higher on his draft board. So they went offensive tackle, then they went wide receiver, Jeremy Bernard, who played for Alabama, and I'm familiar with him a little bit. I definitely watched him play. Is 47 a hair high? I don't know. I mean, I probably didn't have him necessarily in my top 10 wide receivers or 15 wide receivers. He's probably closer to 20 somewhere. I think he's a solid, decent sized wide receiver, and when you play with Alabama, you you play with a program that's geared towards the NFL, whether Saban's a coach or not. And they still send a lot of players to the NFL. They have a very NFL friendly offense and program. So, in that regard, getting a guy out of Alabama is solid. I don't think we still know for sure. But what their resolution is at quarterback, I think that they've been still talking to Aaron Rodgers, if I'm not mistaken, about what to do in general, whether he's going to be coming back or not. I don't know that they necessarily want him back. I know that there's some free agents out there rolling around. They did draft Drew Aller, which is interesting. Drew Aller has a huge arm. Quarterback from Penn State in the third round at 76. Anytime you get a quarterback with an arm like Aller, the ceiling is very high. I think that there have been things about Drew Aller that have looked very enticing. If you watched him play at Penn State, which I did several times, I think watching him quarterback was fun. Um, he can throw the ball around the field a lot. He can move. I think he's going to be potentially a very good backup and could be a very solid starter, if it's with the right team. Mike Tomlin leaving the Steelers leaves him in a bit of a flux. New coach, all that kind of stuff after so long, and a particular kind of culture. New coaches want to always two things to create the team and their image. And so there's going to be a bit of a transition from Mike Tomlin to the new regime. And so we'll see. With the quarterback position always or in flux, that's always an issue, right? I'm talking about the Steelers. So who won the AFC South? What's that? Geez, why am I drawing like AFC North last season? So at 10-7, and I was just kind of talking about. I had talked about Max Ehan, or sure, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but the offensive tackle they took at 21 from Arizona State. I watched him play a little bit as a former Pac-12 guy, a fan. I've watched those teams, so I'm a little familiar with him. Not super, but he's a solid offensive tackle. I said, I bet when we get back, Sammy will have some price issues with going at 21 and other guys that were probably on the board that may have gone a little, may have been ranked a little higher for him. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on Max? What do you think on Jeremy Bernard as a wide receiver for Arizona at 47?
Oh, I love Jeremy Bernard. I feel like he was underrated. Like, I definitely felt like he should have went higher. Like, if the Chiefs had drafted him in the second round, great pick. Like, early second round is like a good pick for him. They got him pretty well late. And so, like, kind of feels like a steal to me. Like, I understand that everybody was high on him, but I'm high on it.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, Alabama produces NFL talent, right? They're an NFL feeder program. It doesn't matter who the coach is. That program is a solid program for NFL guys. Bernard, he wasn't necessarily in my top 10 wide receivers or 15, but he's a solid guy and can catch the ball. And I think, he's a solid later round pick. So, I think this is a solid pick for them for sure.
Yeah.
And then throughout.
Honestly, like, so for the first round, so Max Ionacher, I was like, that's fine. But then day 2, Jeremy Bernard, Drew Aller, like, he might be something. We don't know yet. Dalen Everett and Jennings Dunker, like, that was the day 2 picks. Like, I'm all in for it. That might have been the best day 2 of any team. And then day 3 happened. And let's just not talk about day 3 at all. Like the best pick on day 3 was Caden Wetjen or wide receiver from Iowa. So he's your kick returner, punt returner. That was the first pick that they made on day 3, and that's the only pick worth talking about. The guy who's going to be returning kicks and punts. And he's going to be damn good at it. But like that's literally the only pick on day 3 worth talking about for the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Steelers have a lot of things up in the air, right? Even if even knowing who the coach is going to be, Mike Tomlin leaving and all those things, we don't know who the quarterback's going to be as of right now. I think they're still talking to Aaron Rodgers, if I'm not mistaken, and haven't made a firm decision there. Drew Aller can throw the ball all around the field. He's not ready to step up and start in the NFL tomorrow or this season, I don't think. I mean, not for the Steelers at this point. I think he needs to sit a little bit and get some. But he's got a huge arm and can throw the ball all over the field. I mean, I think that the ceiling is high on him if he can get a little time to grow and just kind of, mature a little bit and those kind of things. But so maybe he's their future, but he's not. I don't think he's their moment. If they think he's their present, then they're gonna have a long season, I think. But we'll see. What about the Baltimore Ravens? They better be better this year. God, I mean, the Ravens have to be better this year than last year.
I mean, they had a good draft last year. What do you mean?
No, I don't mean draft. I just mean as a team in general. Like
Oh,
I think they were probably the biggest disappointment of the NFL of the 2025 NFL season, right? Like, in some regard.
well,
So
that's what happens when your quarterback gets hurt. Like
no
your
doubt, no
quarterback
doubt.
gets hurt, you ain't making it very far.
This is true. This is true. I mean, they just had a good draft. I mean, I know you're high on the offensive lineman they took at 14. I can't pronounce his last name, but I
Uh,
know you're high on him.
I just call him Vega.
Vega. So I know you're high on Vega.
Oh yeah. Oh, NFL.com is quite high on their draft as well. All right.
Yeah.
So Vega, Zion
Yeah.
Young, edge from Missouri, Jacoby Lane, Elijah Surratt, and then I'm not familiar with Matthew Hibner. He played for MSU, and honestly, I didn't watch any MSU games, so sorry. Like he might be really good. I don't know personally. Like I don't know SMU. Chandler Rivers, Josh Cuevas, Adam Randall. They got the punter from Michigan State, and they got Rayshawn Benny and Evan Bernstein. So those later picks, I'm not familiar with them. I am familiar with Chandler Rivers, though, cornerback of Duke, and Josh Cuevas, tight end of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I see a lot of potential with Chandler Rivers. Like, Chandler Rivers could really become something.
Listen, they did a lot in the first 4 rounds to help their superstar quarterback, right? The goal is to keep Lamar Jackson upright, right, and not injured, and an offensive lineman and 2 wide receivers in the 3rd and 4th round that should be good. I mean, I'm sorry, Jacoby Lane in the 2nd round. I'm sorry, Jacoby Lane in the 3rd round, who I watched play at USC a lot. And is a solid wide receiver. I don't know a whole lot about the guy they got in the 4th round, but they did a lot.
Elijah Surratt, he was the wide receiver for Indiana, which Indiana won the national.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yep. He was Fernando Mendoza's boy. So yeah, so I remember watching him catch the ball a lot. So, they did a lot to upgrade that offense. So hopefully that helps take some of the pressure off of Lamar Jackson, with Derrick Henry in the backfield who can still produce, and still run the ball, and some good wide receivers. Hopefully he doesn't feel like he has to run the ball as much and do as much on his own, and he can stay upright and healthy more. So I think that's the whole key, obviously, to Baltimore being solid, right, at this point.
So they got a lot of bodies for weapons. 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and a running back. And then the top two defensive players that they got. I mean, they got three defensive players, but like we're not going to talk about the round 7 guy. But so Zion Young, edge from Missouri, like very solid edge rusher, and then Chandler Rivers, cornerback of Duke, very solid. But the number one thing here is their pick in the first round, Vega Alwane. I mean, I hands down think that he was the number one O lineman in the entire draft.
Mhm.
And the only reason he didn't go top 10 is because he's a guard and not a tackle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd honestly put Vega over Booker from last year, and Booker did very well with the Cowboys last year.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
that's the kind of dude we're dealing with here. Like,
Yeah. Well,
was
it'll be
it
interesting to
wait,
see
was it Tyler Booker or was it Tyler Smith? I might be confusing the Tylers.
last year. It was one of the two. I don't
It
remember
was
last year.
definitely one of those Tylers.
Yeah, I think it was Booker last year. I want to say it was Booker last year and Smith maybe the year
Yeah.
before.
I can
Let's
tell
see.
you it wasn't Guyton.
No, it wasn't Guyton. How about moving on to the Bengals? Cincinnati
Oh,
Bengals. Let's
I'm
see.
definitely
What
gonna
do you
have
think?
to roll down this list to find them.
Well, what do you think about what did you think about trading out of that 10 spot for Dexter Lawrence? Let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? Like there were a lot of solid players still potentially available at 10, and the question is, are any of them better than Dexter Lawrence potentially? The problem is right
This
now,
year,
no,
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 no. Well,
not right now, no.
maybe in the future, but as of this year, no. And if they feel like they are a win now team, that like they got all these weapons on offense, they have Joe Burrow at quarterback, and that if they don't get something going now, they're not going to be able to get something going before it's too late, like that their window's closing, then like, yeah, they made the decision they had to make.
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, honestly, overall, I mean, I think that you can when it's on draft day and you're trading a pick for a player, I think you can always say to yourself, "Who could I get at this spot that would be better?" And looking at the board, no matter who was on the board, I don't think
Sexy
that
dicks.
there isn't a whole lot
Sexy
more
dicks.
better on the board in general. I mean, there's no defensive player better on the board than Dexter Lawrence at the moment, probably. No matter who you're talking about, Arvell Reese, David Bailey, Caleb Downs, whoever you want to talk about, none of them are probably better than Dexter Lawrence, and definitely not at the NFL level because he's proven he can do it. So, yeah, I liked it.
I mean, if
I
Caleb
don't.
Banks was healthy, he might have a shot at doing it. Like that dude is basically like Jordan Davis of the Eagles. Like the dude is a beast. The only like he was out the entire last year because of foot injury. And like the foot injury is still a thing. And so he might be out for quite a bit of this year, maybe even the entirety of this year. And the dude still got drafted at 18. Like that's how crazy of a player he is. Like if he was healthy and had a good year last year, like we could have been talking about this dude in the top 5 of the draft. Maybe even number 2 to the Jets.
Yeah, so I mean, I think my only question is I don't think that the Bengals are, one step away. They have some solid offensive weapons. Joe Burrow is solid. I just don't know that I think they're one step away. So in that
Well,
regard,
it's not if we think they're one step away, it's if they
what
think
they
they're
think
one
they
step
are,
away.
right? 1000%. And obviously, adding a Dexter Lawrence is never a bad thing. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Time will tell. What about the other players they drafted? Talk to us about
Uh,
Cassius Howell.
Cassius Howell has the shortest arms of any defensive edge player in the history of NFL football. So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm a little. I mean, his upside, I think, is decent, but we'll see how the arms affect him. I think some of that stuff can be a little overrated sometimes, but he's definitely a T-Rex as far as, football players go. So we'll see how that affects him. I am familiar with
He's
their next pick.
quick. He's very
He's
quick.
he's very quick. He's very I want to say he's a little raw. I think he still has a little bit of growing to do. I mean, a lot of these guys do, but as opposed to like Messidor, who's 25 and pretty, pretty seasoned already. I mean, Cassius Howell's a much younger guy. I think he's still a little raw. We'll see what he ends up being. The next guy, though,
Didn't wait. The edge that they drafted last year, wasn't he also a Texas A&M edge?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Because they drafted a first round edge last year, and I believe he was also from Texas A&M.
Bengals 2025 draft picks. Let's see. Who did they take last year? Because I do not remember. Shamar Moore, Texas A&M.
Yep, they sure did.
First pick, number 17. So, yep. So there you go. So Cassius Howell and what's his name? Moore or Stewart? Sorry, Stewart.
Right.
Stewart. So I mean, I don't know. I do know about Cario Davis a little bit because, like I said, I watch a lot of former Pac-12
Taco.
Yeah. Taco Davis. I mean, he's a good quarterback. I think he'll be a very solid quarterback. Tall guy, not tall for a cornerback.
Now this dude is raw and rough around the edges and needs to get polished up. Like how you said about Cassius Howell, that's how I feel about Taco.
Yep.
I feel like Taco would have been a great pick in the fourth. No, he would have been a fair pick in the fourth. He would have been a great pick in the fifth. In the third, it feels a bit of a reach because like you're not going to be much of it because he has to develop still. Like if they had gotten him day 3, great pick. Since they got him day 2, it's a bit of a reach, but he's still a good player. In the fourth round, though, they got Connor Lew, center from Auburn. And although he's not the best center of this class, he's definitely up there. He's probably top 5 for the centers in this draft. And they getting him in the fourth round, solid pickup. Although, like, after that, like, there's not really much to talk about. Like, who are we going to talk about? Jack Injuries of Texas. In the 7th round, Landon Robinson in the 7th round, defensive tackle from Navy. Like there's really not much to talk about outside of those first couple.
What did NFL.com give them for a grade? Sports Illustrated gave them an A-.
They gave him a B, and honestly, I feel like a B is too high. A B is too high.
Yeah. Let's see. Moving on. Jaguars.
You get a C-, and you should be happy it's not lower.
The Jaguars?
The Jags?
You're talking about the Bengals.
Yeah. Okay. I gave the Bengals a C-, and they should be happy I didn't make it lower than that.
Oh, that's funny. So
y'all are lucky I like Connor Lew.
What about moving on to Jacksonville, who won the AFC South last year?
Okay, well, NFL didn't have him at the bottom. I went all the way to the bottom of the list and didn't see him. And that surprised me.
Let's see. They
so
went,
I'm gonna just not talk. No, we're not going to talk about their draft aside from one person. In the 3rd round, they got Emmanuel Pregnant, who was such a steal. Like, he was probably the 2nd best guard in this entire class. Like, a lot of guards went above him, but like outside of Vega, like, because Vega's, head and shoulders far and away the best offensive lineman in the draft, not just guard. But the next guard, probably Emmanuel Pregnant. Getting him in the 3rd round, steal. I could have seen Emmanuel Pregnon go late first. The fact he didn't go in the second surprised me. And then they get him in the third.
Yeah, I mean, again, as a person that watches a fair amount of Pac-12 football, or Pac-10 football, I'm familiar with Oregon. They've been a solid program for a long time, and yeah, Pregnant's a very solid offensive lineman. You can't go wrong with him. I mean, that's definitely gonna boost their offensive lineman. He's gonna Trevor Lawrence is gonna love him out there in Jacksonville. So he is going to help keep Trevor Lawrence upright and allow and make some good running holes there. So no, I think that's a very solid pick. So. And Jacksonville, again, when you win your division and you finish 13-4, which was not necessarily where I saw them finishing last year, but it shows that you have a solid team. And a lot of times you're not necessarily in a position where you feel like you have to draft for need. You can draft for talent. And so, like I said, you can never go wrong with solid offensive linemen. So let's see. What about the team that came in second in that division at 12-5 in the Houston Texans?
They're not going to be much higher.
No.
I
Kalen
mean, I got to
Rutledge.
find them. But,
Yeah. They went Kalen Rutledge at 26, guard out of Georgia Tech, and defensive tackle at 36, Caden McDonald out of Ohio State. I mean, anyone out of Ohio
I
State.
like Caden McDonald.
Yeah. Ohio State, when you get guys there are programs that I think generally produce solid NFL guys, right? And there's a handful of them. And when you get guys out of those schools, even if they're not the top guys in the draft or at that position, over some other schools. Like the fact that you played at Ohio State, if you're a Caden McDonald, goes a long way. If you're, Marlon Klein who played at Michigan, Michigan is a solid program. Oklahoma is a solid program. They got guys. They got Kamari Ramsey in the 5th round, a safety from USC, who I'm very familiar with. Who's, I don't
Mhm.
know if I'd say he's a steal, but he's a very solid football player. And they got guys from schools that produce very solid football players. So I think the Houston Texans had a very solid draft. I mean, keeping whatchamacallit, CJ Stroud upright is a huge issue for them. Their offensive line has been an issue. And so addressing that in the draft, whether we think Rutledge is, the solution or not, or even the best pick,
Mm.
that I can't comment to. You can probably comment a little bit more on that. But
I would have absolutely taken Pregnon over him.
Okay, so there you go.
And Pregnon went in the third.
Right. So obviously you feel it was a stretch, but again, I think one of the biggest issues they had last year was keeping CJ Stroud upright, right? So and protecting him. So
I mean, but I'm not going to hit him too hard for that because, like, if you switch Caden McDonald, who they took at 36, with Kalen Rutledge, who they took at 26, I'd feel a lot better about their draft.
yeah.
So
What did NFL.com give him per grade?
they gave him a B minus.
A B minus. All right. And what do you
I
give him?
mean, so I like Caden McDonald. I really do. Ohio State defensive tackle. Dude's great. Also Kamari Ramsey in the 5th, USC safety. Like he's one of the better safeties in the draft, and I'm really behind that. The highest I can go for them is a C. It's better than the Bengals, but it's not that much better than the Bengals.
But not that much better. Hold on for just 1 sec. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
Right. So Jags, Texans, Colts will be next.
So let's see. How about the Colts?
So CJ Allen, AJ Halsey, Jalen Farmer, Bryce Botticher, George Gums, Caden Curry, Seth McGowan, and Dion Burks. Honestly,
So,
I there's a couple dudes who I'm like, who's that? But overall, pretty solid draft. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I think getting CJ Allen at 53 is a steal. I can't believe he fell that low. So I think getting him at 53 is a steal. I'm extremely familiar with Bryce Botcher or Botticher or whatever. He's a solid linebacker. Getting him at 4, I think, or at, in the 4th round at 135 is a steal. And Caden Curry was a very solid player out of Ohio State. I mean, he's a little bit older guy, but I mean, 11 sacks in his last year. I mean, I think they got some really good steals later in the round. I thought they drafted well later. So I liked Curry and I liked Botcher and I really like CJ Allen at 53. I can't believe he fell that far. So yeah, I thought they had a very good draft, honestly.
Also, their 7th round picks, pretty solid pickups too. Seth McGowan, running back from Kentucky, and Dion Burks, wide receiver from Oklahoma. Like, if
Yeah.
you're just taking a shot on somebody, like those are some guys who could be something.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how the Colts look next year. Let's see. The next
Like
team that
this wasn't. They didn't have a sexy draft. Like they didn't have any like picks that's like, oh, they're going to do amazing, blah blah blah. But they got solid picks of guys who could contribute, and like it really fills out the depth of their roster. Of these guys could actually play, like especially their top 2 guys, CJ Allen and AJ Halsey,
yeah.
linebacker and safety. Like in that defense, like I can definitely see those being big contributors for them this year.
Yeah, I think they got a lot of NFL ready guys. I think they drafted very solid. I mean, I don't know what kind of grade NFL.com gave them or you're giving them, but I think it was a solid draft.
NFL.com gave them a B, and for once, I think I might agree with NFL.com. This might be a B.
All right. So the team that finished last in that division, the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans, who had the 4th pick and went offense with Carnell Tate, wide receiver from Ohio State, who obviously I'm familiar with, as I am the big names. I mean, I like Carnell Tate. I think 4 is a little bit of a stretch, but I
All
like
right.
Carnell Tate.
So remember how I said with the Colts draft that it wasn't sexy?
Right. This was sexy.
The first half of the Titans draft was very sexy.
Yep, I would agree that honestly, for me, even though I think that they did well with Tate and Falk, I think the biggest steal for them was 194, the center from Indiana, who I think could be a very solid starting center in the NFL. And to get him that low, I mean, offensive linemen, as I've been saying, are a commodity, and center is a very tough position to get a good one at. And to get him that low, and he's going to be an NFL starting center at some point on this team or another team. So I think that was a steal. But yeah, the first couple picks are very sexy, right? Falk
Uh,
is fun, and Tate is sexy.
so let me just go through them first. Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State, first wide receiver on the board. Pretty well, everyone agreed he was the best wide receiver in the draft. Solid player. The only negative thing you can say about him is he might be a wide receiver 2. But you know what they're not saying? He might be a wide receiver 3, because he will not be a wide receiver 3. He can be a 1. He will most likely be a 2, but he will not be a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, is number 4 a high pick for a guy that potentially is a number 2 receiver? Yeah, probably. But if you're looking at the board and you're convinced that Tate is the best receiver on the board, then and that's where you feel your biggest need is, then potentially, that's what you do, right? I mean, they've got Cam Ward at quarterback. They need to give him some weapons, right? I might argue that offensive line is probably a little bit more important. But again, I mean, there were solid offensive linemen on the board here at 4. So, and protection is always a big deal. But I mean, the sexy pick is, I mean, it's hard to stay away from the sexy pick. So, Keldrick Falk is a nice pick. I like Keldrick Falk a lot. I think his ceiling is very high. So I'm
So
on that pick for sure.
Falk was a guy who got mocked a lot to teams like the Chiefs and to teams like the Cowboys.
Yep.
That he has the prototypical body that these teams like on their edges of they can stop a run, they can power through an offensive line, prototypical body size of like in wrestling, there's the thing that I believe Michael Cole said about Randy Orton of like if you were to go into a computer and design the perfect wrestler, Randy Orton is what you would design. Keldrick Falk is basically you went on the mat and you designed the perfect edge rusher. That's him. Now he's young. He's only 20 years old. He needs more development. But when it comes to physicality, he has every tool in the toolbox. You just have to teach him to use those tools.
Yeah. No, I think the Titans will enjoy having him on their team for a lot of years to come. So the ceiling is very high on him. The thing is just you don't want to run him out there and let him get too, again, when you're picking 4, your team has a lot of holes, and the Titans weren't very good last year, and you just don't want to feed him to, on a bad team to ruin his confidence, right? Like that's the kind of stuff you worry about. So, but no, I think the Titans
Well,
drafted very solid. So
Titans have a great defensive tackle, so like he should be fine having a league leading vet next to him.
right, yeah. All right. So that's the South. That was the South.
Well, I have
Uh,
a couple more
oh
things
yeah,
to
go ahead.
say. Anthony Hill Jr.,
Yeah,
probably a top 5 linebacker in the draft from Texas.
agreed.
Solid,
Agreed.
solid
Agreed.
pickup there in the second round. Like no hate from me. And also in the 5th round, they got Nicholas Singleton, running back from Penn State. This is a big dude. Like he's not one of those bowling ball guys. This is like, like Derrick Henry. like he's gonna be like manhandling wide receiver, not wide cornerbacks that try to block him. It's just like get out of here. He's gonna steal their lunch money.
Yeah, no, I mean, I watched him a little bit at Penn State, and he's going to be solid. I mean, if he has an offensive line to run behind, and they can give him some holes, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think
Well,
he's a solid late round, pick to see what you get. Right, he's one of those guys that can be a sleeper.
I think he's also a solid pickup for pass blocking as well.
Yeah.
Protecting, like, instead of being the kind of running back that runs out to catch the ball, I feel like
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
going to be more of the running back that stays back to take the first hit for the quarterback.
yeah, which is something you absolutely need. I mean, if you can block on the pass, on pass plays, your chances of being on the field, go up exponentially, right? So, if you can block well, you're going to get a lot of playing time. So, again, as I've said numerous times, like a broken record, keeping the quarterback upright is one of the fundamental keys to winning football games. So, having a running back that's willing to step up into that hole and take on that linebacker or that safety that's coming down on the blitz, or even one of those edges or tackles that gets loose potentially, come over, trip him or whatever. I mean, you got to have a guy that can do that. So having that goes a long way. So, uh, What kind of grade did NFL.com give them?
They gave him a B.
Okay. And what do you think? You agree? Oh, we talked about that. We talked about that. You already gave him a grade, right? Yeah, I think you said. Who was
No,
that?
I
Oh, that was the
haven't.
Colts. Oh, that was the Colts. Sorry.
Yeah. Mm, oh, I'm debating it. I feel like this is pretty accurate though, but I could bump him up to a B plus. I could bump him up to a B plus.
For the sake of time and all the fact that there's so many teams, I think we should do the AFC this week, and then we'll do the NFC another week. I'm going
No.
to I'm going to put off the Cowboys for another week just because of time, but we'll get to Sammy's team at least this week. So, which is the division next? That is your division, the AFC West, of which the Broncos won last year at 14-3. They didn't have a pick until the third round. They had no first round or second round picks. So, talk
Um,
about your
did you do
rival
the other
draft.
North teams without me?
Which ones? All I did was the Steelers, essentially. You came in at the Ravens, and then we did the Bengals and the Browns. Oh, we missed the Browns. I'm sorry. I
Mm-hmm.
totally bypassed the Browns. So, we want to go back and talk about the Browns real quick?
I mean, I figured I'd ask if you did it without me, but
Nope,
since
nope, nope,
seeing as
nope.
you didn't do it,
I started the Steelers, and we did the Ravens and the Bengals, and then I just totally skipped over them. Totally missed them,
mm,
which isn't fair because they had a very solid draft. So,
the Browns are used to getting forgotten. It's
true.
okay.
All right. So before we
Um,
address the Broncos, let's talk about the Browns.
so in round one, they traded back with the Chiefs, and I feel like that was a good decision for the Browns because the Browns need some work. The Browns aren't a win now team. Like Myles Garrett might wish that they were, but they're not. And they took Spencer Fano, offensive tackle.
Right.
Well, I mean, I figured that they'd pick at 6 and take Carnell Tate, but seeing as Carnell Tate went at 4, that wasn't an option anymore.
Right.
Uh,
Look,
I don't hate Spencer Fano. I think he's fine. I feel like top 10 pick form's a little rich, but the Browns need O-line. They desperately need O-line. They need O-line probably more than any other team in the league needs O-line. And a lot of teams need O-line.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, offensive line, you can never go wrong. So, I mean, we can always talk about whether picking an offensive lineman at 6 is a stretch, but offensive linemen are, a commodity, and they do go quick, especially the good ones. So,
mhm.
they don't hang around. So, yeah, I mean, get him when you can. I mean, if that's your pick and that's your guy, go and get it. I mean, if you think he can be the anchor of or at least one of the anchors, or a solid, offensive lineman for the next 5 to 10 years, yeah, go get him. And Fano, for
Um,
all intents and purposes, looks like he fits that mold. So,
uh, so their two biggest needs was O-line and wide receiver. And I thought that they'd use the first pick on wide receiver, but they went O-line. So then they followed it up by using pick 24 and pick 39 to get Casey Concepcion, Texas A&M, and Denzel Boston, wide receiver from Washington.
yeah, yes, big pick.
Like,
Yeah.
like these are both players that like people were debating, are they top 5 wide receivers in this draft? And like pretty well everybody was like, yeah, they're about 4 and 5, or they're like 5 and 6, depending on how high you were on Omar Cooper.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean there were people that thought that Boston was the best receiver. In the draft, as far as there were several people that thought that. So I mean, I heard that. So yeah, I mean, to get both these guys and Casey Concepcion, solid wide receiver. I mean, I think, we don't know who's going to be throwing the ball for Cleveland next year. I
I,
imagine it would be Deshaun Watson, but who knows? I mean, who knows? We'll see. But they
I
need someone.
mean, their wide receiver 1 was Jerry Judy. Their
Mhm.
wide receiver 2 was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you had to do
Like,
something for sure. I mean, it'll be interesting to see who can throw them the ball. So, I mean, I like Shador Sanders. I don't know if he's NFL talent or not, but I like him. He's got a big arm. He can definitely push the ball down the field. I mean, I don't, but quarterback is definitely an issue for them. So we'll see. It's nice to have weapons at the wide receiver spot, but only if you have a quarterback that can get him the ball, right? So, but who's ever behind him,
I'm
Santana will help keeping him upright, and Concepcion and Boston will be big weapons for them. So someone should have the ability to look good back there, whoever it
I'm
is.
fully behind giving the year to Shador Sanders. And if he's good, he's good. If he's not, you got next year, you can draft a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of know what Deshaun Watson is. I mean, when he's playing well, I think he's solid, but I also don't know that he's not transformative. He's not a franchise quarterback. I don't think he's shown that at all. So you're still looking for that franchise quarterback. I mean, I don't know that Sanders can be that, but you might as well give him a shot. I mean, might as well see what he can do. So, like you said, you can always sign a veteran in free agency, or you can always draft a young quarterback in the draft. I mean, and see what happens. So, as you did with
Oh,
Shador
they
Sanders last
did
year.
draft a
So,
they did draft a quarterback in round 6, though,
oh,
Taylon
okay.
Green.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people
People are
were
high on him.
really hyped about him. Like,
Yeah.
there was people before the draft that were saying like he's the second best quarterback in the draft.
He had his
Like,
his combine numbers were insane. His athleticism is off the
mhm.
charts. Yeah. What, he ran like a
So,
4.35 40 or something? I mean, his speed
mhm.
at 40 was insane. So, no, I mean, we'll see. I mean, maybe Taylor Green can be that guy. I mean, maybe he can push Sanders. Maybe he can push Deshaun Watson. I still think just looking at that quarterback room, Watson seems to be the guy that probably gives them the most opportunity to win. But again, I mean, he's inconsistent too, and he's injury prone. So I don't know. We'll have to see what ends up happening there. But I'm opposed to giving Shedeur Sanders an opportunity.
Yeah. So there's one other guy who I really have to talk about. Emmanuel McNeil Warren, safety from
Yeah,
Toledo.
yeah,
So
yeah.
now a lot of people were saying he's the second best safety in the class. I am very adamant, third best safety in the class. But still, third best player in a position getting drafted at 58. Solid, very solid pick. Like, this guy really could have gone round 1. He really could have gone round 1.
Yeah.
And he went like very late in round 2. And he could have gone round 1.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, I think that the Browns. I don't know. You'll tell us in a minute here what grade um, the NFL.com gave them, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think they got a fairly high grade for this year. I mean, I thought they
Mhm.
drafted well.
So NFL.com gave them an A.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I looked at it.
honestly, I might give him an A plus.
Yeah. I mean, that's a high praise because you're not necessarily stingy with grades, but you haven't given out many A's yet or an A plus at all. So they're definitely at this point they're the highest on your list as far as teams that had the best
Mhm.
draft. So
Uh, the only way this draft could have been better is if they got Carnell Tate at 6, but they didn't. So it still feels like an A plus to me. Like, it's hard to have a better draft than this, and they had a great draft last year.
yeah, they did have a solid draft last year. I mean, in theory, between the 2 years, they should have some guys that can really produce here over the next few years. I mean, their future should be very bright. I mean, so we'll see. It's Cleveland though, right? So like there's this ominous feeling of like it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's no matter who you pick, it's still Cleveland and their Cleveland sucks. So like it just is kind of what it is. Like I don't know. It's how people feel about the Cowboys. Like Stephen A. Smith. So Stephen A. Smith was on not to digress too much because I don't want to take too much time, but Stephen A. Smith was on with Ryan Clark, and Ryan Clark was saying, and Marcus Spears. And Marcus Spears, this is a former Dallas Cowboys was saying, Dallas Cowboy player who was saying that the Cowboys are now with the pickup of Downs and Malachi Lawrence, they are their defense, the addition to Jalen Thompson, and additional their defense is now going to be somewhere middle of the pack between 13 and 15, and that they are now a Super Bowl contender, and that they feel a viable team to win the Super Bowl. And Stephen A. Smith said, "Yeah, talent-wise, they're great, but it's the Cowboys. They can't get out of their own way. They always find some way to lose and self-implode, and that's the Cleveland Browns too. It doesn't seem to matter who their talent is; they find some way to squander it and not make it work for them. So, as great as this draft is, and being, drafting great is great, you still have to make it work on the field, which is something they've had trouble doing. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. You ready to move on to your division?
Yes.
All right. So the Broncos, who won that division, they didn't have a pick until the third round. What did you think about their draft in general? Tell us who they picked, what you know about them, and what you thought as being a
Um,
division rival.
so their first pick was Tyler Onyadium. I think that's how you say that. I don't know. Defensive tackle,
Yeah.
Texas A&M. Not
Mhm.
familiar with him, honestly.
I mean,
Then they took Jonah Coleman, running back out of Washington,
I'm a little
which
familiar with him.
I'm a little familiar with him too. Um, like solid pick, not anything that's going to blow you away, but it's all right. Then they took Cage Casey, guard from Boise State. I didn't watch many Boise State games, so I can't really speak on him. After that, they took Justin Jolly, North Carolina State, which I am familiar with him. I like him. Very solid pick for the fifth round. Like he was a dude who I was looking at for my team to draft.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like Jolly. I think Jolly's got a very solid pick. He's going to be a good tight end in the NFL. So I think that they got good value for him at 152 right there.
And I feel like we can just ignore the rest of their picks because, waste of time.
I'm not familiar with them. I'm not familiar. The only one that I'm really familiar with a little bit really is Jonah Coleman, just because, like I said, I watched a lot of, former Pac-12 football in Washington, and so I am familiar
Yeah,
with him.
I mean, they play in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. No, I mean, solid pick. I mean, right? I mean, the Broncos have had running back issues, right? So bringing in a running back is solid for them. So I mean, Gainwell, right, was their running back last year, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
I
And
just
so
don't feel like he's going to contribute much. And
yeah,
like he's basically just more of the same of what their running back room already is.
yeah,
So
that might very well be true. That might very well
I
be true.
feel. I mean, it's their second best pick.
Sure. Do you know why? Talk to me about why they didn't have a first or second round pick. What did they do? What are those players? What players did they get for those picks ultimately? Where are those picks?
Jalen Waddle.
Oh, okay. Both of them? They traded both picks for Waddle?
I
Is that
don't know
right?
if it was both. It was definitely their first rounder.
Okay. Which, I mean, again, if you think that it's debatable, I mean, I don't remember what pick they had originally in
Oh,
the first round.
so their third round pick was at pick 66, which is like pick 2 in the third round. So they probably traded back from round 2 to round 3 and got the extra sevenths. That's probably what happened.
That makes sense. I mean, what pick did they have in the first round that they traded? I don't remember what pick it was they traded for Waddle, but
They traded it to the Dolphins, of
no, I
course.
know that. No, I just whatever pick it was. What pick was that? I remember we talked about the Dolphins earlier. I don't remember what pick it was,
It
but
was like it might have been pick 30. If it wasn't 30, it was 29.
so I mean, the reality is that there's wide receivers in this draft that are probably better than Jalen Waddle, more athletic, and their future's a little bit brighter. Maybe not at 29 or 30, So, trading that pick for Waddle is probably solid. I mean, they definitely needed to get Bo Nix some help at the wide receiver position. They're very thin at the wide receiver position, Denver.
I mean,
So
they could have gotten like
Waddle,
a Denzel Boston, or
yeah.
they could have traded up a couple picks and got an Omar Cooper. I mean,
Me personally, I would have rather had, as a guy that's been watching Miami for a long time, and to be fair, Miami hasn't had a great quarterback situation, and their offense has been whatever. So that's not Jalen Waddle's fault. But when Tyreek Hill was there, he was definitely the number 2 wide receiver. I don't know that Jalen Waddle is a number 1 wide receiver. And the guys that you mentioned in theory look like they're going to be NFL wide receiver number 1. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting. I would have rather had both those guys over Jalen Waddle if I was Denver. So, but it is what it is, I guess. So the one thing you do get with Jalen Waddle is you get NFL experience, right? You got a guy that you can plug in and play today. And even though I think that Boston is a plug and play guy too, and there's other guys that are plug and play guys, probably better than that. If you're a team, you're assessing, rookie against a veteran, right? So guess it is what it is. We'll see. Maybe this will be Waddle's opportunity to break out with a better quarterback and a solid team, playing for a good organization. Maybe Waddle will have a
yep.
turnaround. I don't know. So,
And he's going to have Cortland Sutton on the opposite side from him, and Cortland Sutton's pretty solid.
yeah, absolutely. So what did they give the Broncos for a grade?
NFL.com gave them a C+.
Okay. And what are you giving them?
I was going to give him a D for donkeys, but I do like Justin Jolly, so I'll give him a D+.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the Chargers, who didn't have a whole lot of picks in this draft. But number 2, they went Mesidor. What do you think about
Which was a
Mesidor
surprise to
number 2?
me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're going O-line. They're absolutely going O-line. They got to protect Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And then after they picked an edge, it dawned on me of, oh, wait, no, they can't get a guard in the first round to protect Justin Herbert, because then they can't make excuses. And that's what the Chargers are best at.
Harbaugh is a defense guy, right? So it doesn't surprise me that he went defense in the first round. Honestly, I don't care what they say. Age-wise, I don't care. The fact that Mesidor dropped to 22, and don't get me wrong, Caleb Downs was the guy that I wanted. But if he hadn't have been there and Mesidor had been there, I would have not been mad at the Cowboys for taking Mesidor. I really like Mesidor. I think he's going to be a solid NFL player. I don't care what people say. What I saw on the football field was pretty fucking impressive. So, and that's what matters to me. So, I know the numbers are a little questionable, but
I like the dude that played opposite him better, Reuben Bain.
Yeah.
And Reuben Bain went at 15. Mesidor getting picked at 22, like.
Yeah, I think 15. I thought 15 was a little low for Bain too. To be fair, I might have taken Bain over David Bailey. So, in that regard, but it is what it is, right? So I was surprised that Bain went as far as dropped to 15, but I like this pick of Mesidor. I think he's going to be a solid NFL player. I think this is value. I think it's great value at 22.
I saw people online calling him Leather Helmet because he's 25.
All right. Yeah, no, I get it. But hey, what are you going to do? So, you can either get a guy like Mesidor, who is 25 and extremely polished and ready to play in the NFL, or you can take a Keldrick Falk who's 20 and hope that he becomes a Mesidor in 4 or 5 years, right? That's kind of where you're looking at.
Oh,
So,
or better. I
better.
assume Keldrick Falk will be better than Mesidor. It's just it might take him 3 years to get to that point.
Right. So, I don't know. I don't have a problem with his age. I know his arms are a little short too. They were a little nervous about his arms too. So I see that. But I think 22 is great value. I don't know anybody else they picked. I don't know anything about Jake Slaughter or Travis Burke or Genesis Smith.
Jake Slaughter is one of those that, like, I'm high on Jake Slaughter, but a lot of other people think that he's a bust waiting to happen. So we'll find out. I mean, I'm optimistic about him, but that's a wait
Yeah.
and see.
What grade did the NFL.com give?
Well, before we get to that, I also want to talk about Genesis Smith, Arizona
Yeah.
safety.
Yep.
So pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I watched some some Arizona football, so I mean, I am familiar with him. I'm not overly familiar. I didn't watch a ton of it, but yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be a solid NFL player. So a good pick. Um, yeah. What? I'm
So
sorry. What grade did?
NFL.com
Yeah.
gave them a B plus.
Okay. So the Chargers got a B plus. What do you think?
Um,
When you think of they gave up their first for Waddle, so really you got to think Waddle's their first round
no,
draft pick, right?
no, that was
Oh
the
no, that was
Broncos,
Denver. That was Broncos. Sorry, that's my fault. My fault. My
and
fault.
I gave them a D plus.
Yeah, no, that's my fault. You're right. You're right. That's my fault. It was the Chargers.
Akeem Mesidor, Jake
That's-
Slaughter,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Genesis
They,
Smith.
yeah, they only had 4 picks. So
Well, I mean, they got more than four. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks. They took 8 people,
okay.
but those are the only four I find worth talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Like who are we gonna talk about? Travis Burke, Brennan Thompson, like uh,
Right. So
they
what grade
had
did you
half
give?
of a really good draft and half of a meh. Like
Yeah.
so, they gave him a B plus, but I feel like this kind of draft hits right in the center. Like I give him a C. C
Yeah.
for Chargers.
All right. C for Chargers. Now, the big one. The Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, I thought we were
Sammy
saving them for
team.
last.
Oh, you want to do the Raiders first? We can do the Raiders first if you want. I was just going in the order that the teams finished. You finished above the Raiders. You finished in third place in that division last year. So I was just
Yeah,
going.
I mean, you're right. You're right. You're right. We'll save the number one pick of the draft for last. That's the least I can give to the Raiders. Like you were the bottom. You were the bottom, so you'll be saved for the end.
So basically, not that you haven't had the floor for every team, but since this is your team, I will give you the floor. Tell us what you thought about your team's draft picks.
Um, really, I only have one complaint. I feel like we could have gotten Mansour Delane at 9.
Okay. Instead of trading up to get him.
The GM of the Chiefs really felt that the Saints were going to take him at 8. I don't know if the Saints were going to take him at 8. I haven't heard anything from the Saints. So he's a cornerback. Saints did have a need for cornerback. He played for LSU, which is in Louisiana, which is, right by their, stadium. So they definitely thought that New Orleans was looking at him and was like, oh yeah, we got to have him. And the Chiefs were like, no, we can't have that. Like, I don't know if this was a situation of the Steelers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys with that Mekhi Lemon pick of, jumping ahead to make sure that Mekhi Lemon didn't go to the Steelers. But I mean, if it came out that that's true, then I'm like, all right, well, it's whatever. But like, part of me's like, I'm pretty sure he would have been there at 9. I'm pretty sure he would have been there at 9. We could have saved our picks.
Yeah. Yeah. But they got the guy they wanted, apparently. I mean, they're very high on him. Are you as high on him as they are?
I mean, I feel like he is. If he wasn't the best cornerback in the draft, he was second best, and the guy who was better than him is dealing with injury, and we don't know if he's even going to play the same way as he did before he got injured. So,
Yeah. Yep. What about Peter Woods? Tell me about Peter Woods.
Oh, I love Peter Woods. Honestly, like I wouldn't have even been mad at Peter Woods at 10. Peter Woods is my guy. I've been hyped on him. He had a bad year last year. He had a bad year, but I do not blame Peter Woods. I blame whatever Clemson was doing. I do not blame Peter Woods as the player. No. Like, dude is a defensive tackle that goes after the quarterback. And like, there's not a lot of those. Like, there's Chris Jones. Chris Jones does that, but like, not a lot of defensive tackles do that. Like,
Yeah.
he's
Well,
what I want to watch.
They're mostly, take on two guys in the middle to create a lane for another guy, right? I mean, that's often what nose tackles are, right? So yeah.
But he's a player that I liked watching in college, and now he's going to play for my team. I am hyped. I am hyped for that pick. I've been talking about him for a year in all my Chiefs chat stuff of like, you should be looking at Peter Woods. Peter Woods is good. He'd fit our team. He fits the scheme. Solid player. Like all this stuff. And then we actually draft him. Like I've been talking about this dude for a year.
Right. There were a couple picks that I found interesting. I like Jaden Kennedy as a guy that I watched in Oregon. I think he's solid, so I think that's a solid pickup. I'm
Slot corner.
I'm quietly curious about Nussmeier in the 7th round. Like, you don't really need. I mean, is that just a waiver? I mean, Nussmeier wasn't a terrible quarterback at LSU. I mean, you have obviously Patrick Mahomes, so it's not like you're looking for a quarterback in any way, shape, or form. But it's very interesting. I just thought it was an interesting pick.
You're going to have him on the roster for 4 years, and it's going to cost like $2 million total. That's just a cost-saving measure. He's going to be the backup quarterback after Justin Fields leaves. That's probably the plan. As soon as Justin Fields' contract is over, hey, all right, Nuss, you're holding the clipboard. You're also gonna hold the ball when the kicker's gonna kick.
Yeah, I mean,
Lord help us if Mahomes gets hurt, because boy, you're gonna play then. You're gonna play, and we're gonna blame you when we lose.
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought there were a couple things that stood out. I was interested in that. I thought that was interesting. And I thought for a team that really needed offensive weapons, you didn't get any.
We got a running back. We got a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, those are late round picks. I mean, we'll see. I'm not familiar with Emmett Johnson or Cyrus Allen, but I mean, none of them. I mean, I just think for a team with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, it feels like you need to do something at that offensive end to really, especially with Kelsey getting super old. I mean, talk to me about your offense because I don't. Who is he throwing the ball to?
So this is basically a transition year.
Yeah.
So we got a running back, NFL MVP, Kenneth Walker, and so Eric Bieniemy, who was our former running backs coach before becoming the OC over at the Bears, has now come back to be the OC here, and he's running back focused. So like the Chiefs have been the worst team at running the ball like for years.
Yeah.
And so now there's going to be this huge push of we're a running team now.
Okay.
Along with that, for our wide receivers, our wide receiver one, this is probably going to be his last year. Like, and we're hoping he doesn't get suspended or do something stupid before the end of the year. Our wide receiver two, Worthy, he had a solid rookie year, and then last year he was hurt. So we'll see what year 3 holds. But he had a good rookie season. He had a very good rookie season. We'll see how he plays now that he's, not injured anymore. But yeah, he got taken out at the beginning of last season, running into Travis Kelce, and he was out for weeks and then, played injured for the rest of the year. And Anybody can tell you if you play hurt, you don't play like you do when you play healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I like Jaden Kennedy, but if I'm not mistaken, at 109, Denzel Boston was still on the board. Like it seems
No,
like that. No, he wasn't on? I thought
no,
he went like 115. Didn't he go like 115?
no.
Oh,
He went
okay.
early round 2.
Okay, I thought he went like 115. Maybe yeah.
109 is round 4.
No, I know, but I thought Boston fell. I thought they said that he was like 115 or something like.
Nah, he went like
Maybe not.
35.
Okay, so that's my mistake. But still, I mean, I don't. I don't. I'd have to look and see who was on the board at 109. But it feels like they still could have gotten probably a good wide receiver, maybe at 109, as opposed to another defensive player. Again, Kennedy's going to be solid, but it's interesting to me. So, what did NFL.com give your Chiefs for a grade, and what are you
Uh,
giving them for a grade?
I actually have another person to talk about before we get into
Okay,
that.
Mason Thomas.
R. Mason Thomas. So I was very surprised about this pick because he doesn't fit our scheme. He doesn't fit the Spags mold. Like he's perfect for linebacker, not edge on our team. So I was really surprised about that. But he's a speed rusher, and Chiefs fans have been wanting a speed rusher for years, been begging for it. And if that's the plan and Spags is changing his playbook, that'll be exciting to see. Part of me, part of me thinks Spags might be moving him to linebacker, and he's going to be taking up the role that we have a hole on. Because like we really only have 2 starting linebackers right now. We don't have a Sam linebacker. Leo Chanel left in free agency. And what was Leo good at? He was good at tackling, and he was good at getting to the quarterback from the linebacker position. I wonder if R. Mason Thomas could do that standing up instead of having his hand in the dirt.
That
Because
was the name. Okay. Yeah. Good.
because
Sorry.
he fits the mold for a Chiefs linebacker very well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was looking at wide receivers taken at, right around 109 roughly, and they had Surratt was taken at 115. That was the guy I was thinking of. Sorry, his name we saw at 115, which, I mean, it would have been nice. I'm sure Patrick Mahomes would have loved to have had Surratt, but it is what it is. So what grade I'm sorry, did you say the grade that NFL.com gave him?
NFL.com gave him an A minus.
An A minus. And what grade are you giving your team?
So here's what I'll say is that if we were able to stick and pick Mansour Delane at 9, I'd probably give this an A plus. Trading our capital and also the fact that we had to trade Trent McDuffie away to get pick 29, even though we got Peter Woods, which I love still. And we got Jaden Kennedy to fill that gap that McDuffie's leaving behind. Like, yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't think I'm going to argue with him about this. Like, even if you're being pessimistic about certain picks that they made, it would still be a B plus, even if you're being pessimistic about these picks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, other than what felt like maybe not addressing the offensive side of the ball enough, but like you said, they're going to be more focused running. They did address it in the offseason. They're running the running game a little bit in the offseason, or a lot in the offseason. So we'll see what Kansas City looks like. And we know that with Mahomes,
Expect big changes for weapons next year, not this year, because our wide receiver one's going to be gone, our tight end's going to be gone. Like,
yeah.
Next year's going to be very different.
Yeah. I mean, with Mahomes, you can't finish third again. So hopefully, you can't, you got to be better than that. So, all right. So rounding out the AFC, let's talk about the team with the first pick in the 2026 NFL draft, who took Fernando Mendoza, their future franchise quarterback, the Las Vegas Raiders. Wow, that was a faux pas. I'm not used to them being in Las Vegas. I'm used to calling them the LA Raiders. Even though growing up they were the Oakland Raiders, I should be used to calling them the Oakland Raiders. But the Raiders. Talk about them and their draft. What do you think about their draft in general?
Um, when it first happened, I was really high on it, but now that I've sat with it a bit, like I'm not as high on it anymore as I was.
Yeah. I mean, Mendoza, I think, is going to be a solid NFL quarterback. I think that obviously we don't know yet if he's a franchise quarterback. And you're not going to get a franchise quarterback out of him if you stick him in there day one and let him get beat up. That's what's not going to happen. So you sign Kirk Cousins, let Kirk Cousins come in and get beat up for a season or two while Francisco Mendoza gets his feet
They,
underneath him and learns to play the NFL game. You got to do
they
that.
signed Kirk Cousins and they basically drafted Kirk Cousins too.
Well, there is that. There is some of that. There is no doubt about that. So we'll see. They've got some very solid pieces and at that team. I mean, when you talk about Brock Bowers, when you talk about Ashton Genty, Fernando Mendoza in the future, you talk about Max Crosby right now. They have some very solid players on that team. And I still think, even though he was injured, and I know that it is what it is, in many respects, they may have gotten the steal of this draft in Jermod McCoy at the fourth round at 101. I mean, we'll see. That dude could have been a top 5 pick if he had been healthy. So
Yes.
it's highly likely. So if he can be even half of what they think he can be at 101, that's a steal. Or yeah, at 101, that's a hell of a steal. So I think that was a very solid pick. Beyond that, I don't really know a whole lot about what else they did in the later rounds.
Mansour Delane
Now,
went pick 6, and
yeah, McCoy was better.
most people thought Jermon McCoy was the better DB.
Yeah. So if he hadn't have been injured, yeah, it definitely would have been. So that's a steal there. So I thought they got very good value there. I'm not.
Mike Washington Jr., running back from Arkansas.
Mhm.
No, like I'm more familiar with Arkansas because Arkansas is near my neck of the woods. So
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean I'm a little familiar with Stoops, the safety from Arizona, just because I watched that Pac-12 West Coast football a little bit, so I'm familiar with him. I don't,
Emmanuel McNeil Warren was still on the board.
he was, which is crazy, which in theory is crazy. Yeah, yeah. Um, So, good drafting, picking up McCoy later. Probably not great drafting, passing on McNeil and taking another safety, McNeil Warren, over them, when he's still on the board. So that, especially not one that's probably ranked a little bit lower, right, in general. So a little bit of a hit or miss, but they have some solid pieces, and the Raiders should be. I mean, on paper, the Raiders should be better. I still think they blew it. Like, I understand you take Mendoza, but I mean, they had no Austin Genty had nowhere to run the ball last year. You have to find him some holes. That offensive line has to find some way to create some holes. And they didn't do anything to really address the offensive line that I'm aware of in the offseason or the draft. So
I
I'm
mean,
not
they have the highest paid center in the NFL.
well, yes, but that's one position.
I mean, it was the position in the center that they needed filled.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's probably true. I mean, that's probably true. So I guess
And they
we'll see what
also took a guard in the third round, Trey Zune from Texas A&M.
okay.
So, like, we'll see how it works out for him. But, they think they've done enough. We'll find out this year if they did, but they think they did enough.
I think they've done enough. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our AFC draft review. We reviewed 16 AFC teams.
And
We
graded about half of them.
graded about half of them. We'll do NFC next week or the next time that me and Sammy are alone before the season starts. So make sure and check us out for that when we come back and do that. Let's do some house cleaning, and then we will get up out of here since it's already been a couple hours.
Do you want to hear what NFL.com graded them?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Please, yes. Let's hear what NFL.com graded them for sure.
They gave him an A minus, and on the big board they put him in fourth place. They gave him the fourth best draft.
Wow, very interesting. I mean, I know a lot of that is on the back of Fernando Mendoza because they think that he's going to be a megastar, in the NFL. We'll see. I mean,
And he's not going to be a megastar, but he'll be about a Kirk Cousins or maybe a Jared Goff.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins isn't good enough. Jared Goff is not good enough. I mean, those aren't, I mean, I know that both the Lions and the Chargers, or not the Chargers, but the Lions and, oh my God, the
My
team that
cat
Jared
thinks he's
Goff,
a parrot.
the team that Jared Goff went to afterwards when he left Detroit.
No, he didn't. No,
No, he's
he
still
left
in
the
Detroit.
Rams and went to Detroit.
That's right. He's still in Detroit. That's right. Him and Stafford swap places. So that's right.
Mhm.
Those quarterbacks aren't good enough for the Raiders to be, the team that they want to be. Francisco Mendoza has to be better than those guys ultimately when it comes down to it.
I'm never gonna like Jared Goff. Like, so the Rams leave my town and they draft Jared Goff for California, and I'm like, instantly dislike that dude. He didn't do it's not his fault. He didn't do it, but being the first draft pick after my team leaves, like, no, instantly don't like you. Can't fix it.
Yeah. No, I mean, unless I mean they need Mendoza, and he's not going to be, but they need Mendoza to be, you know, for this to pay off, they need him to be at Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, a true franchise quarterback, a Peyton Manning. I mean, I know these are generational guys that I'm talking about, but they need something like that to break their way. That's why you make that pick with the first pick, and you hope that he ends up being one of those kind of guys. I'm not sure I see that in him, but time will tell. We'll see. If he ends up being Kirk Cousins, that's a bust. Unfortunately, no offense to Kirk Cousins, but that's a bust for a number one pick in the NFL draft. I mean, to end up Kirk Cousins, unfortunately, it just is.
I mean, there's a lot worse number one overall picks.
Yes. Oh yeah, no doubt, for sure. All right, so let's do some.
I mean, as much as I like him, Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
That was a number one overall pick, and
Mhm.
as much as I like him, I don't think he's a Kirk Cousins.
No. He'd love to be Kirk Cousins.
Hmm.
So Jameis Winston would love to.
I bet he also wishes he got paid like Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins made so much money in his career. Woo! I don't know who his agent is, but his agent deserves every bit of their percentage that they get.
No, I mean, Kirk Cousins has had a very solid NFL career. There's nothing to squawk at. I'm just saying, when you take a guy with the very first pick in the NFL draft, you want him to be a generational type player, and unfortunately, Kirk Cousins isn't that guy. But I mean, if you get Kirk Cousins, if Fernando Mendoza becomes Kirk Cousins, it's not. I don't like. It's not a bust, but it's definitely not what you predicted, right? I mean, that's fine. It's solid. It'll be a solid NFL quarterback. It's still not the guy you were probably looking for ultimately.
So I heard one person say that Fernando Mendoza, if you put him in any other draft, he's about the third best quarterback.
Yeah.
Like last year, the third quarterback that got drafted was Shuck. The year before that, however, the third quarterback drafted was the quarterback for the Patriots.
Yeah, Drake May. Yeah.
Drake
Yeah.
May.
Yeah, Drake May. That's right. All right. So let's go ahead and do a little house cleaning and get these people back to wrapping up their night. Join us, which are with us here now every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern for the Cookout, where we come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling and or other stuff. As tonight we were talking NFL football. Come for the wrestling, stay for the chaos. On Friday nights, Sammy, Joe, and Anika watch SmackDown starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern in real time and give you their real time reviews and opinions of the show and reactions. So check that out every Friday night. On Saturday mornings or Sunday nights, Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, or Sunday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We do Winner's Circle, where we review AEW Dynamite and Collision from the Saturday and the Wednesday before, grade each show and declare a winner. Let's see. You can check us out on all these social media platforms. If you scan this QR code, this QR code, it'll take you to Linktree. From Linktree, you can get to all our social media from one place, or you can check us out on all these social media platforms independently of the QR code or Linktree. So come over, check us out. Love to interact with you guys. The best part of Workhorse Wrestling Network is you guys. So and then last but not least, our wonderful producer Dolores downloads the audio version of the Cookout podcast and puts it up on these podcast platforms so you can listen to the audio version of the Cookout. So if you want to listen to us in your car or while you're doing your chores, or if we're your workout playlist, by all means, we'll be happy to be the vocal cords in your ears for whatever you are doing. So you can find the audio version of the Cookout these podcast platforms. I believe that is the end of the housekeeping. So unless Sam Joe has anything he wants to say about the AFC side of the 2026 NFL draft or anything else that's pressing.
Yes. Speaking of pressing, this is what I'm pressing on my skin lately. Adeline and Co. Skin and Hair Care. Shameless plug here. But I got the peptide anti-aging serum. And there's like 30 different options for your skin or hair. I got skin, but some people, you might need hair stuff. Me, I don't need hair stuff because I was born with great, gorgeous locks, blessed with my grandmother's genetics, it is what it is, but not everybody's blessed. And you can get Adeline and Co. stuff for your hair.
So on that shameless plug that they are not paying us for.
Nope.
We will cut the lights. And until next time, peace.
Bye.
That was a cookout.
Came for the wrestling, stayed for the chaos. ALWCM, Sammy, Anika.
Yeah, we cooked it up.